criminals in Mexico would still be armed. So what we're facing is a failed drug policy, but we can never admit that. That's a sacred cause here. We're a 12-pack nation that won't let anybody have a joint.
In your latest article in High Country News, you write, "There's no serious war on drugs. Rather, there is violence, nourished by the money to be made from drugs, and there are U.S. industries whose primary lifeblood comes from fighting a war on drugs." Explain what you mean by that.
Well, certainly. We're spending $30 to $40 billion a year on narcotics officers in this country. Every state in the union, if you get out of the house and drive, is now studded with little prisons, some private. They're all dependent on laws outlawing drugs. The income from drugs in Mexico exceeds all other sources of foreign currency except possibly oil, and that's debatable. In other words, if President Calderon succeeded in his claimed goal of eradicating the drug industry in Mexico, Mexico would collapse in a minute. That's what I mean. Why don't we face the fact that drugs are like alcohol? They're part of our culture now. They're not going away. If we want to make them illegal, we can continue to live the way we have, imprisoning our own people, creating a police state, having prisons everywhere. But no matter what we do, they're going to be in the neighborhood, just as they are. There was an interesting government study released a while ago that said 232 American cities now have the presence of Mexican drug organizations. Well, look, I'm a little older possibly than some of your listeners, but if you bought a joint in 1975, it wasn't coming from Finland or someplace. They've always been here. It's a market. All we get to decide is whether it's legal or illegal. That's it. It's like gambling. It's got a life of its own. But we are destroying or helping to destroy a country next door by our policies. There are many explanations for the problems in Mexico, and most of them lie with Mexicans. But certainly our economic policy, NAFTA, our drug policies, the war on drugs, and our militarization of the country have proven to be nothing but a disaster for the Mexican people.
Charles Bowden, how does this relate to the hundreds of women who've been murdered in Ciudad Juárez in Chihuahua over the last, 15 years? We're talking nearly 500 or more.
Well, we're talking nearly 500 in a 15-year period in a city that had 1.5 million. Here's how it relates. Essentially, none of those crimes have never been solved. During that same period, between 90 and 95% of the murders have been in males. None of those crimes have been solved. Last year, there was 2,600-plus murders in Juarez. There were 30 arrests, not solutions, just arrests. The way they figure in is if you're a Mexican citizen, anybody can kill you and nothing's going to happen to them. And it doesn't matter if you're a child, a man, or a woman, that their justice system is broken. And so I can understand because of the sort of cause celeb quality, while people have focused on the dead women, but I think they ought to focus on the dead human beings. This city kills people and nothing happens to the killers.
We're going to have to leave it there, but we will continue to follow this. Charles Bowden, thank you for joining us. His latest piece, The War Next Door, his forthcoming book, Murder City, Ciudad Juárez, and the Global Economy's New Killing Fields, speaking to us from Las Cruces, New Mexico, just near Ciudad Juárez on the other side of the border. Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Berkshire, Photo Caduce, Armata, Angelique Carmen, Steve Martinez, Nicole Salazar, Hani Massoud, Robbie Karen, Mike DeFilippo, Peter Cruz, and Miguel Noguera, our engineer. Special thanks to Becca Staley, Nick Gilla, Hugh Grant, Samantha Chambly, I'm Amy Goodman with Sharif Abdel Caduce. Thanks for joining.